Shahi Paneer. And no, it's not the same as Paneer Butter Masala. While Paneer Butter Masala observes a more prominent taste of the whole spices and the masalas which go into its gravy, Shahi Paneer has a more sweeter taste pertaining to the rich use of dry fruits in the gravy. Also, another key difference can be pointed out between the two. In Shahi Paneer, the use of tomatoes is fairly a newer introduction and wasn't a part of the original recipe. However, a need for color enhancement might have been felt, and thus this introduction might have taken place. So let's start making this beautiful Mughlai recipe, and you'll get to know what makes Shahi Paneer truly Shahi. So since we are making Shahi Paneer today, the range of ingredients is also quite royal in nature. So let me introduce to each of these ingredients one by one to give you some clarity regarding what we'll be using. So here are some almonds, some cashews, a little bit of ginger garlic paste, some roughly chopped green chilies, some diced onion and some cardamom or choti elaichi. And here is some ghee which will be our constant companion throughout the recipe. So here's some turmeric, some red chili powder, some garam masala, some cumin or jeera. Here is some cinnamon or dalchini and some cloves. This is a powdered form of coriander seeds and fennel or saunf. This is how coriander seeds look, and this is saunf or fennel. And we'll be using 200 grams of paneer. There is some dahi or yogurt in which I'll be putting some sugar and mixing it lightly and leaving it aside. And these are the ingredients which will be giving the final touch to our recipe. So here is some garlic, here is some butter, here is some tomato puree, which will only act as a coloring agent more than a flavoring agent in this recipe, and a little bit of kasturi methi or fenugreek leaves. In addition, this is a very important part of the recipe. It gives Shahi Paneer its aroma. It is kevra water, which is almost indispensable in this recipe. However, you can avoid it, but it will be minus the aroma. And we'll be using some water and staples such as salt and pepper in addition to all these ingredients. And we'll be using some full cream to finish off the recipe. And since this is not just any paneer recipe but Shahi Paneer, even the style of cutting this paneer would be a little fancier. So I'm just going to show you how. So just cut this in 2 sections, and I'm going to show you how to do this with one of those. Cut it like that, and finally take this and cut it into 3 equal slices. And similarly we'll be cutting all other slices. So keep your pan on low to medium flame and add in some ghee. Add in the cashews and the almonds and the cardamom. At this stage, add in your onions. You're waiting for the onions to turn golden brown. So the onions have turned golden brown. Now I'm going to switch off the heat and blend all of these things together. It's time to shift everything to this blender. Let this cool down and then give it a nice blend. So the paste has come out of the blender. It looks like this. While blending it, I added a little bit of water, and this is the kind of consistency that we are looking for. So that's just about 1 tablespoon of water. So add in a little bit of ghee in your pan. Keep it on low to medium flame. Don't let it get too hot. Use this time to add in your cumin, cloves and your cinnamon sticks. Now after you listen to this sizzling sound, add your ginger garlic paste. This would be the right time to add your cashew and onion paste. Now would be the right time to introduce your curd. Just whisk it in. Let this come to a light simmer. Meanwhile, take another pan. In this pan, add in your tomato puree and start adding your spices one by one, starting with turmeric, red chili powder, a little bit of garam masala, or saunf and dhania ka masala, and some salt. Mix it all in till it comes to this nice pasty consistency. After your yogurt curry has simmered for some time, add in the masala paste that we just prepared. And give it a nice whisk. Add in a little bit of water and give it a gentle mix. So the reason why we put all the cashews and the almonds in this, in addition to get some richness to the recipe, is to also thicken it. Since there are no other thickening agents in the recipe, so you cannot compromise in the quantity if you're looking for a nice rich gravy. So what I've realized about any Mughlai dish is that it tastes better after simmering it on low heat for a longer time. And it tastes even better after an overnight rest in the refrigerator. So in case you have a party coming up, which is very unlikely given the circumstances, but if you do, then prepare this at least a day in advance to enjoy an even tastier version of the gravy. If you want to prepare the gravy one day in advance, then do not add the paneer beforehand, add it right before serving, or else the paneer will leave its consistency and start breaking, and that is the same reason why I haven't introduced paneer to the pan yet. We have reached the desired consistency which we were aiming for, and the consistency largely depends on what you're serving your gravy with. If you're serving rotis, you'll probably require a thicker gravy than what you'll be requiring with rice. So it's time to give the dish its final touches before plating it all up. Add in a dollop of butter in a pan. Keep it on low flame as butter has a very low smoking point, and then add some garlic to it. It's time to add some red chili powder in this and give it a nice stir. Remove it from the heat before it loses all its color. And we're all done. So some people like to deep fry their paneer and then soak it in warm water before adding it to their pan. However, I like the malai texture of the paneer and I do not do so. However, frying paneer does increase its shelf life, and if you plan on keeping it for a few days, you might as well do so. So now let me introduce the paneer to my pan and give it a nice stir. I've simmered this for a good 3 to 5 minutes, and now I'm going to shift it to my bowl. So we have reached my favorite part of preparing a meal, which is plating up. Today I'm just going to plate it in a home style way. At this stage, add some kali mirch or black pepper for that extra bit of heat, and you will not regret it. Next goes in the full cream, as some things are best kept classic. Next we'll put in a garlic tadka which we just prepared. Some crushed kasturi methi or fenugreek leaves. Goes in 2 of the paneer pieces which I had saved. And not to forget, we'll finally add the kevra water, which should never be added when the dish is cooking and should only be added for the purpose of aroma towards the end. Just a little bit of it, and cover it up so that the aroma spreads evenly throughout the dish. So our dish dish is finally ready and it smells heavenly. So Shahi Paneer is good to eat with any kind of breads as well as some jeera rice. But the same gravy can also be used for many other dishes. In fact, they say that Shahi Paneer was discovered because some paneer accidentally fell into the kofta gravy. So you might as well adopt the reverse procedure and it might work beautifully for you. Please make this beautiful recipe and do let me know how it turned out. So please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.